I'm Clayton. I'm a Foreign Service Officer in the Management Career Track, and currently I'm a Post Management Officer in the Bureau of African Affairs. And so with that, I try to be the Washington point of contact for the posts that I cover in a particular region of the continent on administrative matters. So I'm from Detroit, Michigan, and I hadn't really thought about the Foreign Service as a career before. I mean, I just thought, I knew I needed to go to school, and so I was thinking maybe I'd be a lawyer, maybe get into politics, go back to Detroit, get involved locally. And then I got this mailing about the Pickering program, and I thought, oh, so you all will pay me to go to school, and you'll give me a job. This is the most interesting work that I could imagine, and I love it for the career, for the lifestyle that we have. I love adventure, and so being able to live overseas and experience different places is tremendously satisfying for me. And for me, there was this moment when I was in Delhi, and I was at the American Center working there, and just walking at lunchtime on Kasturba Gandhi Marg, and it was just everything sort of coming together for me. Like, I love this, just it's so different from Detroit, from anything else that I had experienced before. The sights, the smells, the noises, everything. And it's about like dealing with fear and just being human, and sort of not knowing, how much of your true self you can be and whatnot. And so I happened to be at a reception, and it was a sort of formal gathering, and I was seated next to this elderly woman, very dignified and matronly, and like I'm gay, my spouse is of the same sex, and he was also working at the embassy. So she said, well, so what does your wife do? And so my spouse happened to be at that reception, and so I could gesture to him and say, well, he is over here, and he explained what he did at the embassy, and then I started to just sort of, babble and whatever, like, oh, well, I know in this culture, it's a sort of foreign concept, and even in my own, and she just grabbed my hand and said, look me in the eye, you live your life. You can find support in all these places that you might not even imagine it's there. After India, we went to Indonesia, and this predominantly Muslim country, and again we were sort of thinking, well, how will that work? What will we say, and will people hate us just for being gay? And we found it, just like India, it wasn't, if it was a problem for people, we didn't know about it. And it seemed even quite the opposite, like people were more interested maybe to meet us and spend time with us, invite us to places, maybe because we were different. It does make me feel proud. And our country is a great country, and I also think about, just being here and what it means that I'm in the Foreign Service. This black guy from Detroit who's gay, and just that. So I'm someone that people might see, like in India, and they've never met a black person before, or an openly gay person, or someone from Detroit, and so, I hope that people see something much more about our country through my own personal experience. I'm proud to serve, but I'm also really satisfied with just working with great people and having these interesting experiences.